Tonight on the wild world of sports, we talk about the chaos in Brooklyn, Jeff Saturday's undefeated stretch as the head man in Indianapolis, and much, much more. So please stay tuned.
Sports.
And welcome back to Bite Size Sports. And on today's episode of the wild world of sports, we're going to start things off with something a little happy. You know,
I cannot have everything in life.
Let's get some great life advice from just one of the best basketball players in the world.
Good. He's thinking that he's going to win tonight, huh? No.
I cannot have everything in life. Cannot have everything.
It's good, yeah. Apparently Serge beat him in a three-point contest.
Cannot be
if you need the
handsome,
context.
beautiful kids, beautiful wife, great family, great teammate, great coaching staff.
Great Greek accent. Come on.
Athletic. I cannot have everything.
Come on.
I cannot make threes too. God had to keep me humble. God said basically, cannot make threes. Can't shoot. Stay humble, my guy. Dominating the paint, rebounds, dunking on people, Euro stepping. I had to stay humble somehow.
This man is a treasure. Looking. Wow, we're off to a hot start. Listen, that is some great advice. You know, whenever you can't quite do something, just start listing off all the things you're great at. Now, don't be upset if your list isn't as long as Mr. Antetokounmpo's here. What a perspective. Look at that guy. We could all learn from old Giannis. He's a hard worker. He busts his ass. He's got what seems to be just the greatest work ethic about him. Look at this. Look at this. Now, let's pivot immediately to something a little less enjoyable. So, I don't love that I have to do this in this day and age, and it's probably not necessary for this sports channel, but here's a trigger warning. This is about, you can probably see it on my screen. This will talk about self-end gaming, all right? So if that's something, if that's a topic that you don't like, you're not going to appreciate me laughing at Terry Bradshaw's lack of any professional tact. So you've been warned. Let's go.
I want to see Connor get involved.
They're not going to see.
Well, I'd like
they're
to
not
see
going to do it. They just can't do it.
Yeah.
Their mentality is throw. I think if this kid ran 5 or 6 runs in a row, I think he'd commit suicide or something. They have to throw.
Whoa, that's a little dark for this.
What a joke.
Well, yeah,
a little dark for all of us.
They just don't seem to care anything.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm not. I'm not laughing at the suicide part, okay? I think what's funny is that he thought that was funny, right? This is like a Michael Scott moment. It was so bad. He had nothing, and so he went for the most drastic thing he could think of, I guess. I'm just speculating here, of course. But he needs to. First of all, that look right there just says it all, doesn't it? That might be on the thumbnail this week, boys, or that one. But that's not the still that I'm really wanting. Oh my God, where's he at? It's the mentality. Here we go. It's the mentality. Oh man, what do I have to say about this? What needs to be said? Okay, so there actually can be good suicide jokes. I know you don't want to hear me say it. You may not agree with me, and that's fine. This just wasn't one of them. So let's hear him just beef it one more time.
Throw. I think if this kid ran 5 or 6 runs in a row.
See, this was where he was loading. Do we see it? Where's my grade? This is where Terry has a little bit of some buffering going on in his brain, and he maybe he had something and he lost it. Maybe he was Archer. I swear I had something for this.
Runs in a row, I think he'd commit suicide or something.
Oh, I didn't go back
think
far
if this
enough.
kid ran 5 or 6 runs in a row,
There it
I think
was.
he'd commit suicide.
Ran
or
5 or
something.
6.
They have to throw.
Suicide, that's
whoa,
true.
That's a little dark for this audience. Yeah.
Well, you know
That's a
what
little
I'm
dark
saying.
for all of us.
They just
Yeah,
they
everybody's
just
like,
don't
what the hell,
seem to
man?
care anything about the running game.
First of all, I only made suicide jokes in my workplace when I really, really didn't like my life. And in all fairness, I was working for a bank, so I think it made sense to practice dark humor. Yikes, Terry. These folks come to you one day a week to get away from the poor droll of society. They break their backs, they break their hearts just to keep food on the table, to keep the lights on, to keep a filter on that disgusting tap water that they're forced to drink. And you come in here on Fox television and you joke about a running back self-harming because he's asked to carry the ball 5 times. How dare you, sir? How dare you make us think about sad things on a football Sunday? You should know better. You're gonna get the Lee Corso treatment, Terry. If you don't button this up, pal, they're gonna give Pat McAfee your job too, buddy. You better figure it out. I have nothing further for you, sir, Mr. Bradshaw. I just cannot believe it. Unacceptable. You know what else I can't believe though? Fucking Logan Paul in a wrestling ring, and like in the good way. If you guys haven't seen this, you're missing out. And I have to acknowledge, it pains me to give this dude the credit that I'm going to give him. All right? I am not, by any stretch of the imagination, a stan of either Paul brother. In fact, if we saw what his brother did while in the ring, it looked awful. It just makes Logan look that much better. But this was this dude's 3rd match in the WWE, and while we know it's a work, doing the stuff that this guy managed to do was impressive, especially when you consider that he tore ACL, MCL, and I think maybe meniscus as well in the match. I think it was closer to the end of the match, but still, he got through the whole thing, and I expect this dude to be kind of a big player in the WWE going forward, because legitimately he may already have a bigger following than the WWE does. So he's going to bring money in. He already sells a ton of merchandise. I'm certain of that. Then there's the whole Prime thing, not the Amazon, but the juice, whatever, the hydration beverage. This dude's going to print money for the WWE. And let's see. Hang on. We're probably not going to be able to go full screen now that I'm thinking about it, because these guys will absolutely copyright claim the shit out of me. So you won't get to hear the announcement in the crowd. I highly, highly encourage you to go check this out yourself, because I just don't want to lose a whole stream over 1 minute of Logan Paul highlights. So just watch it up here. I'm actually going to move it on the screen a little bit, so maybe the algorithm is less abusive to me later. But this dude can pull a crowd. He's got some athleticism. He did some crazy moves. I think he is eventually going to make a great heel, because I think, younger generation stuff probably, I don't know if I'm sure Logan does well with kids and teenagers. I'm really not sure, but I know that the older fans, he would be a perfect heel, because I mean, the dude's rich. I mean, he's kind of just like an upgraded version of what the Miz was coming in. He's that reality TV star, but the modern version of it, being a YouTuber and having that podcast and all that stuff. So interesting, and so unfortunate for him that he has that crazy big match and then tears his ACL. He's out for at least 6 months, so it'll be interesting to see where that goes. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't use some of my precious airtime to preach the good word of Benedict Mathurin, whose face you will see multiple times, maybe even in this very episode. He's been on fire coming off the bench for the Pacers, and in fact has climbed the rankings of the NBA rookie ladder. So bear with me as I find the photo here, but we have in our possession a new ranking that includes Benny over here at the top. So sliding into frame, there he is, the Kia rookie ladder. Number 1, Paolo, of course, fell to 3, but he didn't really play, so that's kind of unfair now, isn't it? But I don't care about that part. Benny is number 1. I love seeing these 3 on here. Admittedly, Benedict Mathurin was not in my top 3 going in. I covered this draft class thoroughly for the Last Word on Sports. Go check that out if you would like. I have draft profiles on at least 2 of the 3 guys pictured here. I didn't get to Benny. How funny that is. I covered most of the lottery picks and didn't get to cover the guy that the Pacers got. But anyway, it was very high on him as a Pacers fan coming out of the draft, and still am shocked to see how well he's played, how efficient he's been. Now, case in point, let's read along here with Paul Don't Lie. Benny is taking 67.2% of his shots at the rim and from 3, which is beautiful as a coach. You hear that? 2/3 of his shots are either layup/dunks or threes. That is exactly what you want. As much as old fogies like me miss that mid-range, and I will shoot it till the day that I die, as a coach, mathematically, why? So he's shooting 71.4% and 42.9% respectively. So that is 71% in the paint or at the rim and 43% from 3. Very nice. A third of his shots off the bounce at 50%. That's crazy. Shooting 50% off the dribble. You like to see it. He's been one of the most efficient players in the league, not just among rookies. So keep your eye on Benny. And honestly, this Pacers team, it's giving me concern as a fan because they're winning more games than they were supposed to. You really have to hope for a re-signing of Miles Turner, who will come up again for other reasons, mainly his contract and his possibility as a trading piece and the teams that might be interested in him. So I was very surprised to see a recent Bleacher Report trade because it was not someone that I anticipate to be a buyer at the trade deadline. So there's a little teaser for you. Make sure you stick around if you're interested. This was hilarious. Shout out to Highlight Heaven, one of my favorite channels on YouTube and one of my favorite follows on Twitter. You're going to see this Wii Bowling thing come up again. And shout out to our clip guy over at Bite Size Sports. It's me. If you're interested in being an intern at Bite Size Sports, DM me on Twitter or something. I could definitely use another editor. Speaking of editors, this is phenomenal. I hope Alex doesn't copyright claim me. He doesn't seem like he would do that. Don't worry. That's not the last one, but we're going to keep going because, happy day. Old Timmy Tebow
I want to do more of the things I'm called to, so
has a
I'm
new
gonna
business
give my
venture.
body the fuel and the nourishment that it needs to do that as often as I possibly can.
Does anybody feel like he has a weird speaking cadence? Like, it almost sounds like when he's talking, he's always out of breath. I can't quite put my finger on it, but there's just something weird about the way that Tim Tebow says things. Listen with me again. Am I just a hater? Yes.
I want to do
Yes,
more of the things I'm called to, so I'm going to go give my body the fuel and the nourishment that it needs to do that as often as I possibly can. You want to come in and get an IV and get compression and get infrared, get the mild hyperbaric chamber and 150 look.
This thing's edited to shit, by the way. Sorry, edited to hell, because I don't want to suggest it's poorly edited, but this is not one cohesive line of dialogue that's been delivered. They had to chop this bad boy up.
Locations around the country where we're traveling, we can find that, and so I think that's what makes it special.
But them
It's
nipples
a
make up for it,
one-stop
don't they?
shop For health, for fuel, but the reason I come here is because it gives me the chance to do more.
And also because you own it.
I w-
Right. So there you go. If you want to get some infrared or jump into a hyperbolic time chamber and turn into Goku, you can just call up Tim Tebow. And if you haven't been catching up with the LeBron lie meme, it's hilarious. Oh, wow. I hope we can find the LeBron lie thread. We'll have to come back to it because I can't remember them all off the cuff, but the most recent one was saying that he listened to the Migos in 2010. Their first project was released in 2011. Just one of the many, many lies of LeBron James. Okay, I will rattle some of them off the top of my head. There was not having a favorite line of The Godfather because there's just too many quotable lines. There is just the first page of every book thing. You can look that up, where he often just holds open books in these interviews. I believe he was asked some direct questions about Malcolm X at one point when holding his book and dodged those questions as well. That one's on the list. There was I think this one actually, the photo is from when he lied about saying he knew Kobe was going to score 81, saying that that night for some reason he had predicted he would score 60, and then by halftime he had changed it to 70 or something. But yeah, he just, for some reason, has to lie about this stuff. It's funny. It makes me happy in a very weird way, not in like a hater type of way, but when you see a human being like LeBron James, who has the adoration of millions, he's probably a billionaire at this point. He has everything that you could conceivably think that a human could want, and yet he still has to resort to these like self-stroking of his ego. Like, remember when he wrote that congratulations letter to himself and posted it on Instagram? Or just the weird things that he does because he's just an insecure human like all the rest of us. So I don't know. Makes me feel good to know that LeBron's not a complete android, despite the fact that his hairline keeps growing in reverse. So anyway, LeBron's a liar, in case you didn't know. I don't think it's a huge deal, but it's very funny at the very least. What a box score. This got sent to me. Shouts out to Nate. What a box score. Did you see it? Have you seen about this? Have you heard about this? This is what happens early on in the college basketball season when you get some of these tune-up games. My goodness. Wow. Why are those two teams playing each other? Poor Valley Forge. This is weird, so we're going to let this play. This is tennis. It's a tennis thing. Actually, I should probably mute it because of the music. So what you will notice here is our gentleman, our balding gentleman here. There he is. See him? Look at him. He notices us. He sees, and then he sees, oh, I see it again. See. So he catches us. He's watching this, whatever's going on with this water bottle. He sees someone recording, quickly checks again. That looks like he's not. And then he's like, hey, I need you to lean forward. Buddy, hey, lean forward. This guy's in on it. He's like, all right, yeah, I need you. Back like you're talking to me. Hug me. How you been? I haven't seen you. How are your kids? There you go. Cover that up for me. I'm going to lean back like this. And then we're going to hand this to get what it looks like to be a child. That's fair. What are we putting a child at risk here for this criminal enterprise? And where does the young squire or lass go? This guy's taking photos of it too. He's like, what the fuck is this, huh? Yeah. He's like, that was weird. You see his face? He's like, that was weird. I'm taking a bunch of photos of that. He's frowning at it, looking weird. Interesting. Was that Michael's secret stuff? Let us know in the comments below. Moving on from shady tennis tactics to the questionable tactics of the Indianapolis Colts, who maybe, just maybe, fired former coach Frank Reich because they intend on hiring him next year. That's right. One more past his prime quarterback as a Band-Aid. Why not, guys? Let's just try it one more time. It's certain to work this third time around. Speaking of working, Mr. Justin Fields has kind of figured a couple things out, hasn't he? Great edit, by the way. I am loving the way this was edited. So, fantasy managers that stash Justin Fields, you're feeling pretty good right now, aren't you? Aren't you? Oh, here it is. Thread of LeBron James lying for absolutely no reason. Yes, here it is. Let's go, boys.
I said, watch the whole game. I seen the whole game. I was at home watching the game, and I said he was going to, before the game even started, when I seen, I said he was probably going to score 70 tonight. I don't know what made me say that, and my friends was with me, and they was like, okay. So when he got to like 70, I was like, well, he might as well go for 80 now. So, I mean, I'm a fan of the game, and to see that performance was unbelievable.
When I saw him got 70, I said, well, he might as well go for 80 now. Here's another one.
Not related to the game, but since
Be right back.
A lot of publicity yesterday and today about Godfather Part 2, which is the scene or the moment or the phrase or the quote you like more from the movie?
Oh, from The Godfather. It's too many different phrases and too many different lines in that movie to just categorize one.
But which is the one which inspires you, represents you more?
I mean, each movie is 9 hours long. I mean, what do you want me to do? I mean, there's so many. I don't know. I'll let you pick one, and I'll roll with it. It's a great trilogy.
Yeah. So, that's a guy who's definitely watched all those movies. Here we go.
So you're holding the autobiography of Malcolm X along with Alex Haley. I don't know how far you are into the book, but what's your biggest takeaway?
His face.
I kind of just started a couple days ago.
Yep. Can't even look at her.
I've read a lot of notes over the years. This is my first time actually reading this from start to finish. He's a very smart man.
Yeah.
Very, very, very smart
He's
man.
very. Look at it. I want to see his face. Can we do like the observe thing or the Derek Van Shake? What's up, Shakers? On today's episode, we're going to tell you if LeBron James is a fucking liar, man. Spoiler, yes. Let's see how LeBron's shady body language lets us know that he's a fucking liar.
Very smart man.
I'm sorry I popped it. I'm sorry I popped it. I need my pop filter if I'm going to watch this.
His words in the 60s and what was going on.
His words in the 60s and what was going on.
Still. Him understanding how powerful the Negro can be. He used that word a lot. How powerful we are. But we have to unite. And we have to be together. We have to stand strong. Because there's always going to be obstacles. There's always going to be things that's going to be thrown at us where they try to weaken us.
This is like a good politician. This is a senator answer. He has waddled away from the question and gotten himself into something that he can speak on.
Make us feel like we're not
be a good
kings and queens.
Politician someday.
And it's going to come from all, different races and different shapes and sizes and things of that nature.
We get different shapes too.
And it's a very powerful-minded gentleman, and it's unbelievable to kind of read something that's coming directly from him. Just hate. Wish I had an opportunity to meet him. Obviously, we know what the situation that happened among not only him but Dr. Martin Luther King.
Do we know this? It sounds like he doesn't even know what happened. What happened to Malcolm? I'm not going to talk about it right now. But, yeah. I wonder who did that. I wonder. It wasn't LeBron. Okay, don't misconstrue my vagueness. It's a pretty interesting book that he hasn't read because he said.
You want to follow up? Yeah.
Because he said he hadn't
So
read
you're
it.
holding the autobiography of Malcolm X along with Alex Haley. I don't know how far you are into the book, but what's your biggest takeaway so far?
I kind of just started a couple days ago, but I've read and
Yeah, so he hadn't really read it, but also just sounded like he wasn't super familiar. Or maybe he very well could have just been trying to dodge it because, hey, when it comes to the deaths of Malcolm and Dr. Martin Luther King, let's just say whatever you heard in middle school is probably not the official story, and some pretty shady things happened around the death of those very powerful men. And let's hear about him lying. Now, I don't know if I've heard this one where he's lying about watching Liverpool soccer.
It is, and I actually made a trip over, to Liverpool as well, and see all the sights and the arena and everything. So it was pretty unique.
Yeah, Crouchy is actually a Liverpool legend. He used to play there. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I knew that. I didn't get an opportunity to see him play when he was with the club, but I definitely knew.
Why'd you do that?
The current captain, Jordan Henderson, just scored his first goal for England the other day. It was amazing to see. You a fan of his?
No, absolutely, and I saw a clip of that too. I didn't get an opportunity to actually see the game live, but I saw that he was able to score one in the match the other day, and I thought that was it's pretty unique, the fact that he would do that and then also be with Liverpool Football Club. And how
it was pretty unique. It's pretty unique that a guy on the English team also played for Liverpool. Yeah, that's you never hear of that. You never hear of English Premier League players playing for the English national team. That is very, very unique. What was on his shirt that had to be blurred? He's not a good liar. Doesn't seem to be a very well practiced liar, but he is practiced, but he's just not super good at it. It's one of those things, like when he likes to tell like a half truth, like he makes up a lesser answer. So with the Liverpool thing, it's like, I watched clips, but not the whole game. So that way, I don't know. It's just, he won't admit that he hasn't seen it, or just watch the damn clips. I got something in my eye. I do remember this one. This is great.
What did it feel like when you were down there on the floor when you took that hard fall? Were you worried that you would?
Oh, Rachel Nichols.
After drape my finger to the eye, I was literally seeing three rims out there.
Literally.
So I just shot at the middle one. And
I used to do that in beer pong all the time. It does work. He's probably telling the truth about that.
When in doubt, go for the middle rim.
Also, luckily, God was in his corner. One of my least favorite things for athletes to ever do is be like, thank God that he was in my corner tonight and God decided that I should win this sports game. Yes. Of all of the many problems, we are so fortunate that God is deciding to pay attention to the fucking Lakers game tonight. Get over yourself. If there's God, he ain't in the building paying the fuck attention to your shot over Steph Curry. He's neglecting much bigger issues around the world currently. So get over yourself.
And I was able to, through the grace of the man above, I was able to knock it down.
When in doubt, go for the middle rim. What did it feel like when you were down there on the floor when you took that hard fall? Were you worried that you would?
When in doubt, here's the most recent one.
With the Heat in 2010. I've been listening to those guys for so long. I was listening to those guys when my first year with the Heat in 2010. And you can ask any one of my teammates back then, they had no idea who the Migos was. They were like cursing me out.
When
I would play it throughout the weight room, would play it throughout the locker room. I was like, I'm telling you, these guys are next. I'm letting you know.
Right. So not only does Bron have to be like, I knew about these dudes before they were cool, but he has to retrospectively bury his teammates while doing this. These guys were yelling at me. Everybody thought the Migos sucked. Dude, I was listening to these dudes. LeBron James, my SoundCloud account is so dank, you guys. You have no idea. I always know who's next. Like, I'm telling you, dude, I have a SoundCloud Pro subscription. I pay $18 a month for this bullshit, and I just know clearly I don't sound anything like LeBron. But it's such a shitty line. You're not good at lying, LeBron. Of all the things that this man is good at, stretching the truth is not even close to being one.
Turn this off. I don't want to hear this. Just fast forward. Just knowing, take off personally and send my condolences to Quavo and the family and the whole QC family and everybody.
And then his eyes get real shifty.
Just fast forward. Just knowing.
And fast forward to that's right. We're talking about somebody being dead.
Send my condolences to Quavo and the family.
Send my condolences to Quavo and the family, dude. Everybody, let me send the.
I'm listening to those.
Press X to doubt, right? When are we ever gonna get an LA Noire remake or something?
And he used to say, "Put yourself." Yeah.
So you want to hear LeBron's favorite phrase? This is also my favorite phrase, so it's good. I'm glad that LeBron didn't let this guy steal it from us.
Yeah, I had one coach, and he used to say, "Put yourself in situations where you're not comfortable."
Oh yeah, that's my favorite saying. That's my favorite saying.
Yeah,
that's my favorite saying. It's great advice, So, and we all have probably a version of it. So, what does it say? Discomfort brings growth. That's the one. Let's see. Without showing you my whole goddamn phone, let's see. Can I get to? Yeah, here we go. Can you see it? With discomfort comes growth. And couple of random photo editing apps there, but yeah, so it's not like a super unusual or super unique concept. So, but again, like, coach can't have his shine. That has to be LeBron's favorite phrase. I said Suggs about to hit as he crossed half court. Game. End of thread. Okay, that took a little longer than I expected it to, but I'm not mad about the detour. All right, we're only half an hour into this bad boy. We got plenty of things to do. So now is when we get to the Jeff Saturday portion of our program. And if you would like to have a full recap of what happened leading up to that game against the Raiders, we have a full video about that, encapsulating both sides of the argument here, because there were those who absolutely hated this and they have their reasons. Pardon me. And then there are those who loved it and they've had their reasons. And rather than taking a full side, we just presented both sides of the argument, and I gave you my opinion on it at the end. So now we're on the other side of a 1-0 Colts team, so now we can kind of look back at what was said, what's still being said, and just kind of revisit some of that. But we're not going to open the whole thing up because that would be redundant. So please check out that video if you would like, and then come back here after you're all caught up. So there we go. Now let's get back to the clips.
Before we let you go, Peyton, we just have to ask. I mean, the Colts today, they fired Frank Reich, and the interim head coach will be your former teammate, Jeff Saturday.
I call the plays, Jeff.
Years together, won a Super Bowl. What can we expect?
I call the plays now.
Well, Susie, I was surprised. I didn't know anything about it. I learned it from Adam Schefter. I think Adam Schefter knows if you're getting cut before you know you're getting cut. He's the one that told me the Colts had let me go. So
burn.
I'm surprised. I talked to
burn
Jeff.
on the Colts front office, by the way.
Jeff's made of the right stuff. He was the ultimate teammate. My locker was right next to him. He's a high character guy. He's a great leader. So he's going to have to rely on these players to kind of get him comfortable and try to just get a win there in Indianapolis. A win can kind of solve a lot of things. So hopefully he can get in there.
And we're seeing some of that now.
Get turned around. I'm disappointed about Frank Reich. Frank's one of my good friends, one of my coaches. So it's a sad day for coaching as well. But I'm happy for Jeff and this opportunity.
It was a sad day for coaching. And again, this is 4 minutes. We're not even going to listen to this clip. But essentially all Jim Irsay goes into, Tony Dungy goes into is that Jim Irsay didn't reach out to him. He also points out that he would have tried to talk him into sticking with Frank Reich, but, which may be more of an indictment on the value of Tony's advice. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments. I am not surprised that Jim Irsay didn't reach out to Tony Dungy. I haven't heard much about them staying in contact since his tenure there. Jeff Saturday was previously a consultant for this team, so I also would not be surprised to find out that Tony has done some consulting, but by all accounts, Jim did not listen to anyone else's opinion about this. He had his mind made up on Jeff Saturday, and there was nothing anyone in the front office could say to change his mind, so obviously he wasn't going to start reaching out to former coaches or former players and start talking to more people who might just try to change his mind. So I'm not surprised to see that he did not call old Tony up. But one of the things that Jim mentioned as sort of, I guess, a counter to the argument, to the Rooney Rule of it all, I guess. So I don't want to say it was as a counter to an argument, but essentially the Rooney Rule portions got brought up to him as far as it not necessarily being fair. That was this hiring of this interim coach, was it above board and all of that process? And Jim took that time to point out that when Tony Dungy took a leave, that he had made Jim Caldwell the interim head coach, who was, of course, a black head coach who was an assistant head coach at the time. He's also coached for the Lions after that. So Jim was kind of pulling the, like, hey, I'm not racist, dude. I did this before, but I hired a black guy. So, we're good here. Again, there's more on that, and it's actually, look, it's this video right here that I've tweeted about. So there you go, find it. That's what the thumbnail looks like. So boom, there it is. Here we go. Now, before we go back to all of the Jeff Saturday that will happen after the win, so we have to revisit something from our last episode, which was the suspension of Kyrie Irving. So I'm going to let Jay Williams say some of his thoughts in this world, because it kind of helped me change my perspective on this a little bit. Now, I stand by the things that I said in the last episode in regards to the teammate and locker room aspect of it, and in regards to the fact that this was incident number whatever when it comes to Kyrie, just in his time in Brooklyn. So when looking at the whole picture, I still stand by those thoughts of saying, hey, you have been a selfish teammate at your time in Brooklyn, and the argument goes, there's arguments to be had that the things that he's standing up for are bigger than his job. But, again, most of us would lose our jobs, any jobs that we have, for doing any number of the things that Kyrie's been given second chances for. So I still think he could have been a better teammate. But with all that being said, having seen what it's going to require for him to get back into the league, it does seem to be a bit odd. So let's actually hop over to that quickly. Of course, I had the tweet lined up, and then, of course, this isn't even the right article. Take me back to Kyrie. There we go. You scroll too far down, it takes you to a new article, and then you have to go back page. But anyway, damn it, I had the Shams tweet locked and loaded for you boys. I swear to God, it was here. There we go. So he has to apologize / condemn the movie. I believe he's done that. $500,000 donation to anti-hate causes, sensitivity training, anti-Semitic training, meet with the ADL Jewish leaders, meet with Joe Tsai to demonstrate understanding. Wow. Okay. Hey, that's the price. So that's the price. Let's hear what Jay Williams had to say about it.
Every day of my life, I approach it with a state of empathy, right? Regardless of what color, what creed, what race you are, I look at people as human beings. I think that's important. But life is always about taking a stand and holding principles. So I want to explain what I feel like my stance is as a black male in this world, okay? And conversations that I've had with my brothers and sisters in the black community. And I want you guys to empathize with it and hear me on it. So when I hear what Kyrie Irving has to go through in order to be reinstated, I'm appalled.
Dude, it's a fucking Twitter video. What, are you kidding me? Why does this happen?
I'm appalled.
We're jacked into
and let me
the
give you an
Ethernet,
example.
Scrub. My God. Let me give you an example, dude. Let's go full screen and fucking buffer this thing. God damn.
Of how I feel like we don't have the same energy and hold other people who have dealt with racial tropes accountable. So when Sarah Silverman does blackface, or when Don Imus says nappy-headed hoes, or when Howard Stern calls somebody the N-word in this skit, or when Brett Favre takes money from the state of Mississippi, we don't ask them to get sensitivity training.
We don't ask them to get sensitivity training.
We don't ask them to donate $500,000.
Brett Favre really should
We don't
be getting
ask them to
a
meet
lot
with
more
the
hot
Black
water than he is
National
right now.
Caucus. They apologize, and then you know what? The rest of the world moves on. But what I feel like is happening here, and that's how in the black community, like we've been.
And I'm going to pause it for a second since it wants to pause it for me anyway. And that was, I mean, you probably saw my face when I started reading that list of demands, list of tasks Kyrie has to complete. I was kind of getting that same vibe as well, where it's like, man, he's got to apologize to all these groups, and it just doesn't, it seems unprecedented to me. I think we've seen people do more overtly hateful things than what Kyrie did, and have an easier path back to at least getting back to work. I think people have done a lot worse than this and not have had to jump through as many hoops afterwards. So let's let Jay continue here.
Told that's how the process works, right? Think about that, Bert. That's how the process works. Oh, somebody does a blackface. Oh, it was a misunderstanding. We got it. Okay? You know, is that person really racist? Probably not. Was it ignorant? Probably so. Okay, we understand it. We move forward.
So I want to talk about the blackface of it all real quick, potentially get myself in trouble, because on one hand, I'm going to agree and disagree with with what Jay is saying. So that's great. Have fun. On one hand, I have seen, just to think of things off the top of my head that have included blackface that I know have been censored and removed. So there's the Roddy Piper WrestleMania match. Forgive me. Is it WrestleMania 7? I don't know. Someone in the comments will know. Maybe it's 5, 3. I can't remember. Forgive me. There's an early WrestleMania match where Roddy Piper goes, I believe, half blackface, and that's been removed from most streaming services, if not all. There are the Lethal Weapon movie episodes of It's Always Sunny, in which the whole commentary of the episodes is how doing blackface is wrong. And if you don't understand or haven't watched It's Always Sunny, the context of that show is the characters are all bad people and you're laughing at them because you know what they're doing is wrong, and they have a very unique way of providing social commentary, sort of like the anti-sitcom, the anti-Seinfeld. And so they, in those episodes, have essentially one character who plays Murtaugh in blackface and another one who refuses to do it in blackface, but then does a black voice. And so thus the commentary, is one more racist than the other? Why is one okay and one not? But there's a whole discussion there. And those have been censored, right? They've been removed from the platform. And I don't agree with that, mind you. I would much prefer some sort of disclaimer. Again, maybe not in every single scenario. There's plenty of blackface that is just gross, and all the old stuff was horrendous. I think when you're doing A, comedy, and B, when the point of the joke is to have, like, you're having discussions, your characters are having discussions as to why this is wrong, I don't understand why you have to completely remove that. I think you should just watch the episode and understand. I don't know. Anyway, however, where I will agree with Jay is none of these instances. Maybe Shane Dawson, he's had to do his every 2 year or basically his yearly apology tour whenever it comes back up that he did that, and what he did was really pretty bad. The way he utilized blackface, it was awful, to be frank about it. And yeah, none of these people had to meet with the delegations or anything. I was about to go into a Chappelle skit, but I'm not. They never had to meet with the leaders of any kind of group and go through any massive apologies like that. So it does seem weird that he has to do all of this huge, grandiose apology tour. It feels odd. Let's let Jay say some more before we move on to a clip.
To hold them accountable, but society and having a lot of black people in positions of power, we don't have the governing ability to do that. But what we feel like happens with Kyrie is even after an apology, it's not enough. We feel like there needs to be.
And while that buffers again, I think there were some people that had similar feedback to the John Gruden situation. And essentially it was, in broad strokes, when the emails came out, when there were racist emails, oh, I'm sorry, that's terrible. That doesn't represent me. But you're not fired. But when the homophobic emails come out, then you're fired. And some of that, again, does it come down to the organization of the groups that are receiving the hate, so to speak, right? Is it just that there are more active groups that are willing to go out there and make more noise and demand these sort of actions be taken? Is that what Jay is saying? It sounds like that's what he's saying when he's talking about governability. So
more. And a lot of people I've spoken to over the last couple of days talk about this thing. Older mentors of mine talk about buck breaking. We talk about tropes. This is something that we feel like in the black community that happened way back in the day, where if there was a slave that was defiant, right, he got broken in front of everybody.
All right, well, this thing keeps clipping out, and that's about 2.5 minutes of it, and it's about to get pretty deep. So I'm not, you should listen to the rest of his thought. He's got 5 minutes full of thoughts on that. Let's see what Adidas will do. While we're talking about hypocrisy in the way things are handled, Adidas will continue to sell Kanye West's shoe designs without the Yeezy name. Now, Goodwill took a stand and said, we will not sell this merchandise. Don't even rip the tags off. It goes straight into the dumpster. But Adidas, they do not have the same morality issues. They are happy to sell this dirt cheap, ass-looking design at probably the same ridiculous markup. They're happy to do that as long as they take the name off of it. So I was hoping for a picture. How unmodern day of this article. It's all words and no photos. Company said it's sole owner of all Yeezy line rights for both existing and future colors and versions. Selling the sneakers under their own branding will save the company about $300 million in royalty payments and marketing fees. Going forward, we will leverage the existing inventory with the exact plans being developed as we speak. Wow. I mean, I don't blame them for using the materials, but it's weird. It's weird. I'm treading in some really awkward water here, but I think it's in bad taste for a company that was founded by two Nazi brothers to go ahead and continue to sell those designs and those shoes if they had such a big problem with what was said. Now, like, and I haven't even heard all the things that Kanye said, but it's much easier to look at that and say, like, oh shit, that dude was anti-Semitic. So I don't know, it's just weird. Again, the point that I'm trying to make here, the Nikes, the Adidases of the world, like, these are not your moral compasses. They just don't want you looking into their closet. Let's go talk to Nike about their child labor while we're up in arms and trying to right wrongs. Let's right some of those wrongs. Anywho, let's get back to the sports of it all, huh? No longer the sportswear. Back to the sports. Benzema. I wanted to see a highlight. Videos are killing us right now. A major announcement regarding the Washington Commanders came out. A statement from the Attorney General. 23-year-old player on our team was shot multiple times in broad daylight despite the out-of-control violence in D.C. Today, the Washington Commanders learned for the first time on Twitter that the D.C. Attorney General will be holding a press conference. Wow, so the Commanders played that card. They played our player got shot, and instead of looking for the guy who shot him, they're coming after us because us and Dan Snyder, we have done nothing wrong. So why would anybody come after us? We'll see how that story progresses, but we have had some progression in the Jeff Saturday story. These were his thoughts before
I'm completely comfortable in who I am as a man, bro. I know I can lead men.
Bro.
I know the game of football, and I'm passionate about it. I have no fear about, are you as qualified as somebody else, bro? I spent 14 years in a locker room. I went to the playoffs 12 times. I got 5 dudes in the Hall of Fame that I play with. You don't think I've seen greatness? You don't think I've seen how people prepare, how they coach, how they GM, how they work? I mean, won Super Bowls, been to 2. Like, here's the deal, man. None of us are promised a good job. I may be terrible at this. And after 8 games, I'll say, God bless you. I am no good. I may be really good at it. I got no idea. But I dang sure ain't going to back down. I can tell you that.
He dang sure ain't, boys.
Everybody talks about I'm completely comfortable in who I am as a man.
Here's the deal, brother.
I know I can lead men. I know
I can lead men, bro. Hey, man, that's the kind of, and so from what we've seen, that's what he's been. He's been the speech guy. Hey, we're playing inside, but it's snowing today, so get your asses outside. You're gonna practice outside. I don't know why. That probably works. Probably works for some of them football guys. I'd have been pissed, dude. I was a pansy slot receiver. Like, you know, I didn't mind like getting hit or whatever, you know? Like, I don't mind going out and hitting somebody either. But I wasn't one of those dudes who was like, oh yeah, let's go out there if it's 10 degrees out, man. I'm not wearing sleeves. Like, I used to hate that, man. We'd had guys on our defense who, no shit, they saw me rocking sleeves back when I was a backup safety. In the winter games, they'd be like, take that shit off, take your undershirt off. And so at a certain point, I'm just like, hey, I don't want to play fucking safety anymore. And, you know, just going to be a backup slot receiver. I can fucking wear sleeves when it's cold. Yeah, I'm a pansy, whatever. Leave me alone. That's why I'm doing this, not out there. I mean, it's not the only reason. Got that speed, dude. Hey, shout out to D West over here driving the Bite Size Sports Cat number 22. He was rocking the number 99 Bite Size Sports for the Elite League, but he's still in this DSCR League, so check him out. South Shore Racing is also the Bat Flip Podcast, another sponsor there. This is a much better league so far from what I've seen. Nothing against Elite Racing League. Like, they've been great to us, but there seems to be a bit of a discrepancy in the skill levels, and there are a lot of unnecessary wrecks. Most of our guy, D West, is almost all of his updates on Monday where I got wrecked again, but then meanwhile here, we got stage 2, leading in laps, all this stuff, and so our guy can go. So be sure you check him out. The best way to know when he's going is to follow Bite Size Sports on Twitter. We always update you on our guys. Speaking of updates, there was that suit related to workplace misconduct. So that puts a little more perspective on that whole, hey, what are you looking at me for? Huh? One of our players got shot a few months ago. What are you looking at me for? I didn't do anything wrong, man. There's nothing to see here. I don't believe that. The Commanders, who would ever thought anything funky would go down there? What were your thoughts on this Marcus Mariota throw? Now, luckily for him, it wasn't really a throw, but unfortunately for him, the tape was rolling when he decided to even try it. Oh, my God. I was scared because I have Mariota as a backup QB in some deeper fantasy leagues, and I was worried this man just cost himself his job doing that. What is that? Fuck it. Pitt's down there somewhere? I doubt it. Based on what I've seen this year, they don't like to throw to our boy all that much. Christian Watson just got his second receiving touchdown. Oh, wow. Last week he had, 4? I was able to sign him in about half of my fantasy leagues. FAB, spent some money. Other waiver wires where they didn't have FAB, I didn't get him everywhere. Unfortunately, my dumbass, there was one league where I didn't start him, but in the other leagues we got him. We flexed him in there, and he is paying off. Second touchdown already on Thursday night. Boom, baby. Let's go. Also won my Pick'em League for the 3rd week this year, the only 3-time winner out here. So, if you want some advice, check us out. Be subscribed. Don't do things like headbutt people's helmets with your bare head. You don't want to see that out of your quarterback, do you? Am I wrong? It's been established already that I'm a pansy, so it's fine. I don't mind seeing my even the long snappers like, bro, what the you see him? You see it? I'm not the only one who saw this, right? Look at this.
Good way to wind up in concussion protocol.
Yeah.
Thank you, Al Michaels.
Huh?
What? Even Kirk's like, what? Did you see him? See him? 44 is like, what, dude? Watch this. 44 is on the other side. He's gonna see this. He stops. The fuck? And then Baker decides not to headbutt him because he's like, well, you judged me, dude, so I guess I'm not doing it. But yeah, back when fullbacks were a thing, I'd want Mike Allstott or John Ritchie doing that all day. But I don't want my quarterback, even though he's my backup. I don't want him doing that. It's so dumb. But it's fine. Baker's never going to have a starting job ever in this league ever again. So who do you think did it better? Burns? That's that's the best sack celebration of the year, man. Glorious. Jeff Saturday taking over the Colts. Oh, we were having fun. Everyone hates it when Memphis wins. I love it. Do their city jerseys not look like old Sacramento Kings jerseys though? I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Another thing I don't get is DJ Khaled bringing a pillow for his shoes. So I want to know, was he wearing other shoes to get into the arena? Because apparently if those sneakers can't touch the ground and they have to have a pillow underneath them, how the fuck did he get in there? Where are the other? Is there like a bag under his chair with other shoes, like the shoes that he walked here in? I'm so confused by this. I just don't know what to make of it. I personally would never buy shoes that I'm not willing to walk in. But there's a lot of things that DJ Khaled would do that I wouldn't do. There's a lot of things that I do as a beat maker that I'm sure he's not doing. But anyway, you know, I can't afford a Prada hoodie. So which one of us is the winner, right? I'm the loser who can't afford a pillow for his goddamn sneakers. Oh, and here was our announcement right here. It's been a good time to announce his last Elite Racing. So, you know, hey, check out Elite Racing League. You may see a bite-sized sports car in this league again, because we've got a couple other future sim racers, future iRacers in the pipeline, and bite-sized sports may just be maybe here to stay when it comes to the iRacing of it all. So if that's your thing, you definitely have come to the right place. You've also come to the right place if Bol is your guy. Mother of God, did you see that? Like a gazelle. Look at this. The fancy. Oh, somebody gets the poke. Nah. Whoop. Gets LaMelo looks like he goes up to block this shot here. He is ready for some action. Look at this ball fake. Ball's like, ah. Nope, it's just a giant step through, because in 2 steps I can get from the 3-point line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, see, James and I had a debate on the bounce and how many steps it would take Bol to get down the court. And while James was right, I had a suspicion that Bol wasn't extending his legs as much as he could when he runs. And I don't say I blame him. Great play, great handle. OBJ calling out Nike for not honoring their obligations. Now, this has nothing to do with my previous call out, but I think it's also worth noting that once again, this is a situation where it seems like the brand is not doing what's right, and I wonder how this is being received because the message is coming from OBJ. So look into this in your own time. As the story progresses, we will certainly have an update, but it's too vague and there's too many possibilities for me to really give a take on any of that now. But here's something I can give you a take on. Victor Wembanyama? Yeah, he'll be pretty good. He's going to be all right. Filthy. This is disgusting. This is a one-footed runner from behind the three-point line. Gross. What are you supposed to do? And there was, the beloved 99. There were 2 versions. See, there's the bite-sized sports right there. David Wester Green. This is a Taco Bell throwback. We had another 99 bite-sized sports car, which looks a lot like this car, old Aunt Brown.
Social sports betting
I call him,
app,
yeah.
And you can bet in 42 states. This weekend, Flip have special offers.
Is he messed up in this?
Tom Brady can complete a pass. You can double your
Kind
money.
of sounds. Listen, I'm a dude who used to make some content under the influence, all right? We've all been young and stupid before. This ad read was very difficult to get through, and also a kind of suspicious betting app. I personally am not putting any of my money in an AB-sponsored gambling app, so this is not sponsored. I don't suggest you do this. I want to put that disclaimer on before I show you this ad. Only seems fair.
This fall, I am partnered with Flip. Flip is a social sports betting app, and you can bet in 42 states. This weekend, Flip have special offers. Tom Brady can complete a pass. You can double your money.
That's sus too, right? If Tom Brady can complete a pass, you'll double your money. Unless the minimum bet is like a couple bucks. That's so dumb. They would just lose an ass ton of money on something like that. Use my promo code BOOMIN on the Fliff app. But yeah, I don't know.
Use my promo code.
Could have done multiple takes. I don't know. I prefer to read ads with a shirt on.
This fall, I am partnered with Flip.
More like he's partnering with a spliff. You know what I'm saying? This was a surprise, as noted by Schefter in this tweet. Cardinals released Eno Benjamin, who did wonders for me. He has kept my 14-team league, my team in my 14-team league alive with a couple of his spot starts for James Conner. So I was shocked to see him be released, and not shocked to see that he did not clear waivers. He's been signed by the Texans, where he'll likely not do much because Damian Pierce has been a beast. But what do you think about that? That was odd to me that happened. I didn't understand that he had used up his value, especially with a back like Connor, who is always hurt.
I think it could have went. Right. He knows he can't get out. So y'all thought that was great D. I thought that was just raping him. I think it could have went either way. Yeah, I think you should have called the police on that. Right.
Yo.
Playing in the paint. Right. He knows.
From the school of Terry Bradshaw.
So y'all thought that was great D. I thought that was just raping him. I think.
Sorry. Forgot to disclaim. Trigger warning. My God. This won't trigger you. Unless you are a fan of the Tampa Bay Bandits, who are now the Mephis Showboats, my new USFL team. That's right, folks. I had to pick one. You have to have a favorite team if you're going to start investing in a league, right? And because there were really no teams that close to me, I went with the Mephis Showboats. But here's the updated division alignment. North Division, South Division. I will be at the home opener for the Mephis Showboats because it is damn near my birthday. And it wasn't Jimmy G's birthday, but you could have fooled me, as every single Warriors cheerleader came over to say hi to, the most winningest quarterback in history when it comes to games where he's thrown no touchdowns. So, man, if this dude had half the arm talent as he has in looks, the Niners would be a goddamn dynasty. Jesus criminy. But yeah, there you go. Jimmy G is, porn star handsome, I suppose. I don't know. I can't tell you. Colts added some depth. I signed Tyrell, who actually had over 100 tackles back in 2020 for the Texans. So not likely to be called upon unless there are more injuries, but with Shaq Leonard out for the year, there you go. So if you want to learn more about that, read my article, because, yes. Oh, here we go. Cubs nearing a deal to acquire Miles Mastrobuoni. Can't wait to hear that name get muffed a couple of times. But for all joking aside, this guy plays 6 positions and has hit pretty well at every level of the minors. So could be a decent addition for the Cubs. Speaking of decent additions, one of the biggest things that come out of the XFL the last time there was a run were things like the Sky Cam that we see today. Lots of innovations came from having these alternate leagues. So those of you who are anti-USFL, XFL, when the AAF was a thing, competition breeds creation. And so having these spring leagues, they're doing, look at these cool camera angles that they're doing. Yeah, some of them make me a little seasick, but the helmet cam, the ref cam, that stuff's cool. Drone cam, again, it's gonna have to figure out some stabilization there, I think. But some of this stuff looks really cool, and eventually, once they get it perfected, the NFL will just steal it from them, and so it's going to make all of our viewing pleasure just that much more enjoyable. That's a pretty cool angle of that pick six. So very cool stuff to keep an eye out on, and this is why I support. That's why I love these small leagues. I love these alternate leagues, like these in football, and then of course the big three. Look at what has happened. 3-on-3 basketball is an Olympic sport now. I mean, just one of the things we've seen in the last 5 to 10 years is just the growth of new professional sports, and I'm here for it. It's amazing. We'll be here to cover as many of them as we can. What's your favorite logo? I don't know. Well, I'm gonna just stick with the Showboats. I don't know. There's some good logos in here, but I'm sticking with my boys here. Jeremy Hill has been added to the XFL draft pool. Yes, that's right. The XFL is still going to be going live in 2023. Jeremy Hill hasn't played since 2018. That is crazy. I wonder if he's got the legs. I half expect, even if he's not drafted, I expect him to be signed, just because one of the things that the XFL and USFL can do to help themselves early on is to sign players that have some name recognition to draw the casual fans, or at least maybe some more serious pro fans who would be casual for them, I guess, if you think about it that way. You're going to need like a Johnny Manziel type of non-NFL player to bring in a real casual. Like, you're going to need Terrell Owens or Ocho Cinco. You're going to need a personality. Or a quarterback with the cat-like agility and reflexes of a Matt Ryan, the new QB1 in Indianapolis. He has got his old job back, and why not? They thought Yosemite Sam had wheels. Well, look at this man, just one step away from taking this bad boy to the house. Look at that, like a gazelle getting captured by a hungry lion. But Jim Irsay, after hiring a high school football coach and beating the Raiders. Yes, I like it. I like it. It's good to see college basketball heating up. This is, again, another good time for me to pitch not only the Bounce, where I cover the NBA for Stadium Rant every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, but also the Last Word on Sports, where I cover the NBA and college basketball. Last Word on Hoops. Check us out there for the written word. And, of course, just come back here to Bite Size Sports if you want to hear me talk about hoops, because Lord knows I love to talk. And when talking about hoops, one of the things I love is unique lineups, rotations, and what the Raptors are doing right now with Siakam and Van Fleet out is they're starting 5 guys that are 6'7" or up. Well, 6'7" to 6'9", I guess. And this just reminds me of like a peak Jim Boeheim Syracuse unit that could just press you and play zone defense and just be a beast in the passing lane. Speaking of passes, great pass to pass out of the look for an even more open layup. Great play. Oh, and we were just talking about the great schemes of Jim Boeheim. Let's hear from a former Bronco what he thought of Josh McDaniels' scheming and game planning. Oh no, what did I just do? We'll fix it. And there we are.
Started as a head coach, 6-0 with the Denver Broncos.
Yep.
Since that moment, he is
True story.
7-24 as a head coach.
And what happened, I might ask you? No, it wasn't Tebow.
It was before. It was Kyle Orton.
It was before.
He traded away Cutler to the Bears, and then Kyle Orton.
He went 6-0, and they were cheating. They were videotaping opponents' practices.
Yeah.
A little bit of a New England thing that he carried with him.
I never in my life
And
was
here
more
is the
prepared
proof.
for a game than the years that I played with Josh McDaniels. Every time we did exactly what he said,
This is facts, bro.
we won. He
Brandon
said,
Marshall
look,
says it, I
when
believe
they
it.
line up in this formation and you're their linebacker, they're running a deep dig behind you. He said at the snap of the ball, sprint to the hash mark. He said if you turn around fast enough, you got to pick. If not, it's going to hit you in the back of the head. We end up losing to San Francisco. We're supposed to beat San Francisco.
Okay.
Here's what happened. Our film guy got caught because we had to share a stadium. Got caught filming their practice. 1 week later, Josh is fired. Once that losing streak happened, we was having breakfast. We was in there. It was like, damn, I knew we wasn't that good.
Which is true. They were
cheating. We was cheating.
Yeah, he was cheating.
They were. But wait, it gets better because if you don't know, the Raiders are only 2-7 under Josh McDaniels, and a lot of people expected that if he were to lose to a high school football coach, that might be the end of it for him. But oh no, dear friends. That is not how this story is going to end. And here is why. Courtesy of Kleiman. What the rest of this would load. Dove Kleiman. I was like, what is it, Don? The reason the Raiders won't fire Josh McDaniels is financial. They don't have the money to fire him. The team is cash poor and can't afford to fire McDaniels and then pay another coach, according to the legendary Bill Plaschke. He'll be the coach this year and next year. Now, I can't help but wonder how much of this has to do with bad personnel decisions. Like, where did they spend this money? Is it got maybe something to do with all the money that they had to pay Gruden to send him home? I doubt it has anything to do with the move to Las Vegas, but it could. I don't know when it comes to that, how that all shakes out. I think it's much more believable to assume that, that monster of a contract they gave Gruden has a lot to do with why they don't have the money to buy this knucklehead out and then pay a new guy. But it just begs the question to me, is it still going on in New England? Because he's a good enough offensive coordinator in New England every time he's there, and maybe not. I mean, they had that good year with Mac Jones, though, and now he's gone, and things aren't as great with Mac Jones. So I part of me just wonders if the Patriots didn't just figure out a way to get better at the cheating, and now they just don't quite have the lineup or the roster to make it count. And now we are back into today, which means we are hitting the home stretch there. After watching their run defense get decimated, the Eagles have decided they're going to just hire every defensive tackle that used to play in the NFL. So after signing Linval Joseph, they have added Ndamukong Suh. Reached a 1-year deal with the Eagles, which I would say it's closer to a half-year deal, but okay. Interesting. I would love to know what your thoughts are. Did you expect either of these guys to be in game shape anytime soon? How soon do you think they'll be able to actually contribute? I think with linemen like this, the good news is you can plug them in almost immediately. They're probably just going to be on a snap count, which means you may, depending on their strengths, have one in for run plays, one in on passing down, stuff like that. So it's not like they're going to have to worry about coverages and all that. So you absolutely can plug in D tackles, especially a little bit earlier than you would other players you've traded for. But my issue is these guys have been potentially sitting on the couch this whole year like I have. So how many snaps are they going to be able to provide any assistance to you on defense in a spot where you're clearly kind of weak? So there we have it, folks. That will wrap it up for us today in the wild world of sports. A little more serious than I expected it to be, so have no fear. Next week we will be back with the funny stuff. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at BiteSize Sports and either DM me your funny sports tweets, the weird sports stuff you see, or tag us in the tweet. You can just reply to it, whatever, point a little arrow, send me in the right direction, and if you would like, I will happily shout you out and give you the props and the credit for finding this for me. If you wish to stay anonymous, that's totally cool too, man. In the meantime, please be sure to like and subscribe if that is your jive. We have more NBA, NFL, college basketball, college football talk coming. So, until next time, thank you so much for being here.